Hello my loves and welcome back to my channel. I took a little break last week, some sort of Easter break. I've also been doing some desire map workshops that took some time and energy from me, so I prioritized my energy towards that. I actually have 2 more of them coming up this weekend, both in Swedish and English, so if you want to check them out, please do. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe, click the notifications button and like if you do. I would also love your comments on whatever you want to see in the future on this channel, whatever you might be interested in from me, whatever topics you think I should cover, whatever goes. I'd love to hear from you. So the news. It feels like a very current topic right now. And I want to address it from a few different standpoints. And I'm not saying I have the right opinion about this. I'm just saying make conscious choices. Don't just follow the stream. Follow your own flow and figure out what works for you. And especially during a pandemic like this. Because too much news right now is actually really harmful, and it might actually get you sick from being in the stress response too much. So I just want to give my 2 cents on this discussion, whether or not we should be consuming the news right now or not. So I stopped watching the news back in 2012 when I was really sick and was trying to get better. I learned the correlation between consuming news and the stress response and the cortisol levels that raise as soon as you see something that upsets you. And I figured out that it doesn't really help anyone that I keep looking at these horrible things and getting all stressed up about it, but not doing anything. So I just stopped for my own health. And I actually didn't start watching again because I realized that I can actually live my life without watching the news all the time. It's not that I don't get to know what's going on in the world. And at this time, I was actually in a management team with a billion-dollar company. We were taking big decisions for the future of the company. And I found ways to stay informed, even though I wasn't watching the news. One main problem I see with the news right now is that it's actually very one-sided. There is this thing in the journalism industry that is really horrible, but it's the truth. What bleeds, leads. And we need to remember as we consume the news that there's a lot of advertisers and a lot of money involved in getting you to click, to buy, to engage in whatever topic you are interested in when it comes to the news. A lot of the news sources are very biased, and we need to know that as we consume news. Also, depending on where you live in the world, you will get news outlets that are angled in a specific way due to religion, due to politics, due to the government trying to get you in a certain way. I don't know, I'm not trying to be into conspiracy theories, but I'm just saying that when we consume whatever we consume, we need to be very vigilant with ourselves and know and take responsibility for the intake that we choose to have. Because we are not being fed objective news most of the time. So back in the days when I stopped watching the news, it was for a few different reasons. One was for my own health, that I noticed that when I was watching the news, I got a stress response and I couldn't get that out anyway because I couldn't help the people that I was looking at. The other reason was that I noticed that this was sapping me of a lot of energy and a lot of creativity. And I want to live my life helping other people, helping people around me, creating beautiful stuff and helpful stuff, and being a good citizen. And for me, that didn't mean consuming the news. It meant producing or creating stuff that will actually help people. Because I'm not helping as long as I'm glued in front of my TV or in front of my screen and just like feeding myself with fear. So what I started doing was actually reading deeper into some subjects. I remember I was engaged in some trauma releasing in Rwanda with EFT tapping. I was getting more info about the work of Greenpeace and sending them more money. I was getting deeper into my own creative processes and ultimately, after a while, starting my own company. Because I realized that this is where my talents and strengths and resources are better spent. So when this pandemic started, of course, I noticed myself being swept up by the news, just as I had been in the past. And there was a lot of fear creeping up in me, as in everyone, and that's totally natural as we are adjusting to what was going on, and everything was like so in your face. And I noticed also that I was probably reacting a bit stronger than I might have been if I had been used to watching the news, because all of a sudden I was consuming news again, and I hadn't been for so many years. So it was like quite overwhelming because I was coming across all the other horrible news as well. So I've actually really have been needing to discipline myself these last few weeks on not going into that bait, not clicking it. Because there's so many reasons why I think consuming news at this time is not what we need to be doing. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be informed. It's really important to be informed. But that's not necessarily the same thing as watching the news or clicking around on all the clickbaits online or reading all the articles or all the conspiracy theories or all the things that is going on online. Because it's not one-sided, and the news are not objective most of the time. There's so many beautiful things going on in the world, but you're not getting it. And because of our negativity bias, which is an awesome thing that has helped us survive through all these years, your brain will be so good at absorbing these horrible news and sticking to them like glue. And there's actually research showing that your brain, because of the negativity bias, needs a ratio of 4:1 when it comes to positive and negative news to keep some sort of balance. So you need 4 positive news to balance up the 1 negative if you're not gonna go down the negativity spiral. And we also know this from science. Your brain wants to be right. So whatever you go searching for, you will find. There's a beautiful quote from A Course in Miracles that I just love that says, if you want only love, you will see only this. If you want only fear, you will see only this. That was my add-on. That was not A Course in Miracles. But that's the way it works. So if you're searching for horror or fear or pain or suffering, you will find it because it's part of the human experience and it's everywhere. But there's also so much joy, so much love, so much pleasure, so much curiosity, so many helping hands, so many wonderful stories of community and people coming together and doing amazing things because of the pandemic or because of other reasons, because we are loving humans. If we're not filled with fear, we have so much more capacity to love and to contribute and to do amazing things in this world. And also, the algorithm works the same as our brain. What we focus on grows. That's how the algorithms are built. So if you start clicking on all the horrible things, you will start seeing them everywhere. And you might think that now they're all over the place, but you've actually just created an echo chamber where you fed the algorithms with your preferences and they will keep feeding you with that. So you will think that everything is horrible all of a sudden, but it's not. I just noticed this for myself at the beginning of this pandemic, even on YouTube when I was clicking around. I noticed that I was just seeing these horrible stories about Corona. As I stopped doing that, I noticed there was more of the positive things coming up again, the things that I usually watch. We all need to be helpful right now in whatever capacity we can. And we can't do that if we're hijacked by fear. We need to take responsibility of what we focus on and where we put our attention. Again, it's not about not staying informed. You need to know what's going on just around you so that you can take responsibility or take informed decisions on whether or not to go grocery shopping, whether or not you can go for a walk, or whether or not there is someone in your neighborhood that needs help. But staying in front of the screens and consuming a lot of news is not going to help you, and it's not going to help the people that need help. There's so many good initiatives around now with people making aprons or masks or whatever safety equipment is needed in healthcare. There's so many people helping elderlies with both community but also support in grocery shopping or whatever. There's so many people doing wonderful things online to help people with their anxiety. Focus on that. Focus on where you can be helpful. Focus on what actually helps you, how you can lower your stress levels and take care. Allow yourselves to have days without your phone or screens at all. And know where you want to find the information that you need before you need to take a decision on whether you can go to that place or see that person or buy that thing or whatever you need to do. But you don't need to stay glued in front of a screen, consuming all this fear that is going around right now. So that's my take on it. I know this might be controversial, and that's totally fine. You don't have to agree with me, but I've just noticed in myself in the last few days when I've stopped consuming news again and gone back to the way I normally work or the way I normally live my life, that I've become so much more productive again, and I sleep much better, and I can be much more helpful to the world. So as always, take what resonates, leave the rest. I really hope this helps you at this time. And for your own sake, make a conscious decision on when you want to go consume information and where you want to get it from. Make sure that you get it from trusted resources around you. Staying informed is not the same as consuming news. And know that you have the power to direct your focus. Focus on what helps you stay calm and collected and helpful. If you want love, you will see only this. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Bye.